musician, and he was actually one of the first Kansas City profiles on my podcast.
Yeah,
and
I remember
I've
that.
kind of repurposed that a couple of times when he's come out with new material, and he's a painter and just a really...
How did you get hooked up to be able to interview him? Like, what's the connection?
I'm trying to think of how, I have a lot of, I think, connections in the, it must have been I knew somebody, or I got a phone number from somebody, and he was very nice to do it. I know a lot of people, the Drake at 810, he's worked in radio forever. I can't remember exactly the specific way that I got in touch with him, but we did the podcast at his house before COVID when I did them all in person, and just a wonderful guy. It's a great, look it up in the archives. It's a fantastic story of a band that, it's one of those bands that, quote unquote, almost made it big. Yeah. And actually, the night that we did the previous podcast, we were out listening to tunes, and I played the song "No Romance," which I said is the saddest and least romantic romance song ever. And it's cool. It's a great song. It'll kind of make you want to cry, but I love Bob and his music. So that's a cool story. I like that.
Well, what's not making me want to cry is this delicious beer, and we're going to need to rate this thing, buddy.
Well, I think I'm going to have another sip and then rate it highly. I know that.
I mean, it's very interesting.
I'm trying to think of the other one we have had that was an IPA. And I think that one was just tiny bit, I would say, maybe better.
I think so. I agree.
But this is excellent. So I'm going to still give this a nice, hearty 8 on the nose.
No, I'll just agree with you. I'll give it an 8. It is, because I can't decide, I may revise that as I drink this thing. I just can't decide. Part of the problem is I'm drinking it out of a can like some sort of troglodyte.
And also, you're a little fatigued today, so you're drinking coffee at the same time. That probably doesn't help.
The coffee's gone, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to guess. And this is, and Discourse is over at 95th and Metcalf-ish. Yep. And they have great beer all the time, and it's a nice spot, too. So, an unsolicited endorsement of... At
this point, we should go talk to them because...
We've done, I think, 3 of their beers, and I always put them on social media. So free advertising for Discourse.
So the only other thing I have...
courtesy of Santa Fe Liquors, where exclusively you can get the beers from Discourse Brewery, and Pat and his great staff over there. So we're raving about these beers. You really can't get them anywhere else except Discourse and or Santa Fe Liquors. So go over there.
The only other fact check we have is I had done a masterclass on lobsters last time.
Yes.
And I had brought up how silly I thought it was that hospitals advertise.
Right.
And you said, well, you just did an opus on lobsters. Maybe look into this hospital thing. So I did.
Well, I think it is a competitive industry. So do tell. Because I think now at least half of the athletic venues we watch our games at are at things sponsored by
and such hospital field,
right? GHA Field or Hospital Trust Arena, Stormont Vale, where I saw 38 Special. That's a hospital.
That's where it came up.
Right.
So here's the deal. This stems from my dislike of health insurance companies. Okay,
well,
I do not care.
Who does? Who likes them?
I do not care for the entire industry around it or those companies. And in my research, I got a little bit. My mind changed. Danny, I'm a guy that can have his mind changed. Right?
You are actually an open-minded
Absolutely.
fellow. Well, at times. For certain things.
Sometimes I've decided, Danny, that I'm not going to change my mind. But generally, when it comes to just about anything that's important, at least, or that I deem important, I will change my mind on something. Right?
Shown the facts.
Yes, shown the facts and a reasonable argument. I mean, you're never going to change my mind about the University of Missouri, for example. Right?
That's Joe.
I'm never going to change my mind about my opinion of Shakespeare pizza. That's not going to happen, okay? But I did change my mind a little bit about hospitals, okay? So why do hospitals advertise? They did a peer-reviewed study, okay? So this is a real intellectual study at a university about why they did it. And they found that hospitals that advertise have by far better patient outcomes than those who don't, for multiple reasons. One, they care about their reputation.
Okay.
And they generally are more successful, therefore they have a budget, therefore they advertise, right? There's that too, right? Sometimes it's the cart, sometimes it's the horse. But, the other side would say that it shouldn't be all about profit and that these hospitals shouldn't push, they shouldn't advertise, because if they advertise, they're just going to advertise the thing that they make the most money on, and it's not better for patients, right? Which is kind of where I was. But after reading a fair amount of the synopsis of the study, I came around to think, you know what? It's fine. The real problem is probably just these health insurance companies, and I can stop being mad at these hospitals for advertising, because generally the ones that advertise are better hospitals, and they found that the advertising also works, that people come from far and wide to hospitals. So not only does advertising generally get you to a better hospital, it brings more people to that better hospital. So in the end, it's better for patients.
Well, I don't know. I didn't read the study, so I can't judge that. But I will say that raising awareness for people is probably always a positive thing. And if they see an advertisement, maybe they're inclined to say, oh, well, I hadn't heard about, I always went to, I'm not going to say any hospital names. I always went to Hospital A. Well, those people look friendly and effective and efficient. Yeah. Why don't I check that out? And they probably would do a little research, and because most people have some or more frustration with the entire healthcare system. And let's face it, you're not in a happy mood generally when you're going to the hospital or the doctor.
Well, maybe you need to do some research and figure out why you've been sick 3 times in 1 year. I've known you we're coming up on a decade. I can't say that yet, but we're coming up on it.
Right.
And I've never seen you sick ever, which I always thought was total BS, and it was just luck that I hadn't seen it yet, or that you just hid when you were sick. But
well, first of all, I never consider having a cold being sick.
Well, yeah, for sure.
But
when it affects your voice as
not
much,
100%. Yeah, and my voice is my trade. So
yeah, and so this is 3 times in 1 year.
Right,
do you think
3
you've
times
got
in one summer?
Allergies or something? What's going on here?
I don't know. I've never had any allergies. I don't think it's allergies per se. I have no idea. Maybe it's just bad luck, or I had good luck, or maybe, you know what? I'm not getting any younger. Nobody is, but I'm at a higher level of not getting any younger. So, as evidenced by the fact we are now about 1 month away from a signature high school reunion. So
another one. Boy, you love your high school reunions.
No, I haven't been to my own in 15 years.
But you talk about it though. Oh, is this the one that's been long coming?
Yeah, long coming, and there's been one. Yeah, we've talked about the saga.
Lots of consternation over here.
Yeah, so I was emailing my good friend from high school, John, and he's got a house on the Cape, and it's kind of fun. I'm sure John doesn't listen to this podcast, so it doesn't really matter. And I won't say the figures, but what's interesting now is that because of all the, and I don't know if you do this or whatever, you can find just about anything on the internet.
Yeah.
And in this particular case, you can definitely find things, which is, if you know the address of anybody you know, you can just
go to house worth?
Go to Zillow. Well, my good friend John was a very successful man in his life, and he's just recently retired, and he has a condominium in South Boston in a one of those areas that's turned sort of gentrified or whatever, and then he has a summer house on Cape Cod. And let's just say I Zillowed him, and I was impressed.
What's the weather like on Cape Cod in the summer?
It's pretty much just this, the same, except you're going to get some sea breeze. It's going to be the same New England weather or whatever it is before. Which
is like hot and humid. Isn't New York super hot and humid in the summer? Didn't people used to leave New York en masse in the summer?
It's not near as hot and humid as it is here.
Because isn't there a movie about that with Marilyn Monroe or something where they all...
Something Like It Hot, yeah.
Yeah, right? Because everybody... And isn't the premise everybody leaves New York in the summer?
Well, by its nature, especially through history, cities are hotter because it's all pavement and concrete and whatever. And also, if people live in the city and it's, during the time of Something Like It Hot, which is a famous movie where Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon go on a train with a female group and they dress as women.
Oh, is that the premise of the movie?
Yes, it's a classic comedy. It's one of the most famous comedies of all time. It's not my favorite.
No.
But Marilyn Monroe's in it.
Yeah.
And it's called...
How's she look in that movie?
How does she look in every movie? Looks like Marilyn Monroe. I think it's the movie where his skirt flies up.
Is that the movie?
I think it is.
Okay.
I think it's that movie, yeah. Anyway, Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis dress in drag through the whole thing. And they're traveling with a female band or something like that, I think. And they're on their train. And it's a ruse to pick up women. So
interesting. You know what movie I watched with my daughter this weekend was Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, my God.
Uh-huh.
With your daughter.
Yeah, she wanted to watch it. She's into scary movies. Oh. My wife's not. My wife was gone for the weekend.
I don't like scary movies either. I'm with your wife.
So I like the old ones. I don't like the new ones. The new ones are too scary. Boy, that's a well-made movie, though. Have you seen it, though?
I have. It's not... It's because it was such a great movie.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like a slasher movie or something.
No. So, yeah, but it's
so
still...
well acted.
It's still like... Yes, I recognize it's fine, but I really don't go to the movies to get creeped out.
So my daughter and I keep walking around now all week like, good soccer game, Clarice.
Well, that's fun. That's fun to have a connection with your daughter.
Oh, man, and that movie's really well done. And you know what was really interesting about it is it's actually like a snapshot in time of women's empowerment because Jodie Foster in the movie is like going through the FBI training, and she's like the only lady there. And everywhere they go in the movie, there's all these cops, and they're all like looking down her dress and like talking down to her, like, "Hey, sweetie, go get us some coffee." Like it was actually like, and I had to explain it to my daughter. I'm like, "Well, this is 1991, like."
Right, this is the way the world worked.
But still in 1991, which
still really. Somewhat today, but we've made progress.
Absolutely. I mean, 1991 does not seem that long ago to this guy.
Right.
I mean, for you, it was like 5 years ago.
You would figure that in 1991, things
were better.
Had really improved, but...
I mean, they'd improved to the point that she was getting into the FBI, right? But, I mean... Anyway, that really got me thinking maybe I'll go down a fact-check rabbit hole about,
FBI.
Well, women in the FBI and women in professional, those law enforcement.
Here's another fact check. I'm wondering if when she's in the FBI, I can't remember when J. Edgar Hoover died.
Oh.
Because that couldn't have been something he would want.
No, he wants to be the only lady in the FBI.
Exactly. Well, for those who haven't listened to my last reconcilable differences, I will recommend a family-friendly, fun film that even just a couple of adults like me and my wife could go to when we come back. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
All right, let's do it. It's Thirsty Thursday, Sense and Nonsense, and so are you sticking to the 8 on the Chasing Lollipops?
I'm going to 8.3.
Wow.
There was some coffee that needed to get off of the back of my tongue.
Right, well, let me finish this one, and I'm sticking with 8, but I'm a hard grader.
Well, when we get back, Danny, we have our much-awaited segment that everybody loves, which is where I quiz you on where do these old-timey phrases come from. And we've got 2 new ones this week.
Oh, great. So that's sort of a fact-checkish thing. That's cool.
I'm doing work over here,
more
Danny.
Research. He does the work. In fact, he's getting off his ass and getting another beer right now. We'll be back right after this.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here at the 23rd Street Brewery with Matt Llewellyn. And Matt, you've got a great menu. You fine-tuned it a little bit. Great beers. There's always something to be had to put a smile on your face at the 23rd Street Brewery.
Oh, you bet. And Brian Haney would always say, come have the Haney turkey stack. Bill Self would say, come have the Bill Self pasta. I would say, come have the Bill Self pasta. It's great, great mac and cheese, buffalo mac and cheese, and we've got a ton of other menu items that you're sure to love. We've got a great brewer who's brewing great beer, and if you like craft beer, our guy's the way to